Good afternoon and welcome once again to the Mayor's Weekly Press Conference. It's a kind of it's a drier day, still a little bit gloomy outside, a lot of overcast. I don't have Kyle Johansson with me here today, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and go through the 7-day outlook. Today we're looking at a high of 71 degrees. And it's looking like between 3 to 6 p.m., maybe 50% chance of rain, which we certainly need for things to dry out. I was just looking at the Stimson Avenue hydrograph, and the hydrograph shows that we have crested, or at least it appears that way, crested at just over 19 feet, which is high. I always kind of look at things is once we get to 20.2 feet is when we start to see water kind of lapping at the edge or at the sidewalk on East State Street, in particular between Walmart and Kroger in that area. So again, it looks like the river has crested and will slowly start to recede. Going into Saturday, tomorrow, we're looking at a high of 76 degrees and a low of 59. Sunday, a little bit warmer, 82 degrees and a low of 63. Looks like chance of rain is about 50–60% scattered throughout Sunday. Monday, a high of 84 degrees, a low of 65. 1 to 7 p.m., we're looking at the highest percentage of rain, which is 60 to 70%. Tuesday, 85 is a high, low of 65. Again, cloudy. The highest percentage chance of rain is at 4 p.m., 50% at 4. Going into Wednesday, 84 degrees, a low of 64, or 65 rather. 50% chance of rain between 4 and 7 p.m. Thursday, a high of 83, a low of 66. The percentage is a little bit higher on the 28th, which is a Thursday, where we're looking at 80% chance of rain at 4 p.m., 70% at 7 p.m. Friday will dry out a little bit. It looks like we're going to have intermittent clouds, possibility for some rain, a high of 82, a low of 64. And into Saturday, we're looking at 74 degrees is the high, the low of 51 degrees, with again about a 50% chance of rain throughout the day. So still some moisture to come, it looks like, over the next 7 to 10 days, but hopefully not as much in terms of the amount of rain that we were receiving. It was a good half inch, it seemed, a day over the past few days, hence the river being as high as it is, and several road closures throughout the county. So be careful. You know, if you see standing water in a roadway, turn around, don't drown. It's just find an alternate route to get to where you need to go. Again, as I mentioned, the hydrograph, some promising signs there with the hydrograph at the end of Stimson Avenue, where it's showing the river cresting at 19.24 feet and hopefully dropping. Some items to bring up with those of you who are watching. This came from Arts, Parks, and Recreation, still working through some of the details that have come down from the Ohio Department of Health, Dr. Amy Acton, and from the governor and lieutenant governor. Still haven't gotten firm guidelines on the community center. Community recreation centers have not been authorized for reopening by the governor. Again, we're waiting on those details as they roll out, but certainly speaking with individuals, some of the tenants in the community center, I know that Director Terry Moore has been working with Joyce Lewis, who is the director for the Athens seniors. So that's taking place, United Seniors. So more to come on the community center. The other big announcement for anyone watching is the pool. Again, I just received this from the director, Terry Moore, of Arts, Parks, and Recreation. That is, the City of Athens Arts, Parks, and Recreation announces the Athens pool will not open this summer. The decision is supported by the Athens City County Health Department, City Auditor, certainly City Administration, and the Arts, Parks, and Recreation Advisory Board. Certainly a difficult decision to be made. After careful consideration and discussion that has been made to not open the pool this year, the decision was based on significant challenges. And I've seen the guidelines for pools that have come down from ODH, very challenging and stringent guidelines that need to be followed in order to operate a pool, to keep our residents and the pool staff safe. When you read through the guidelines, would make it very difficult for a facility, especially one like ours, to where we have not only the lap lane pool and dive well, but a leisure pool, the tot pool, a splash pad, the run out slides, and the challenges on a non-COVID-19 time to properly run those. And the guidelines, while proper, really pose some significant challenges with the pool. So again, unfortunately, that is the decision being made when it comes to the Athens City Pool. Protecting something that's just I pulled down that's worth sharing. The 2020 census is still employing individuals to serve as field caseworkers, enumerators for field operations. Some of the things to make note of with that particular workforce is that they have secured personal protective equipment and sanitizer for the field and office staff. They are conducting a deep cleaning of office spaces, develop mandatory COVID-19 training, outlining the steps for staying safe while performing the field operations and duties, practicing social distancing, including shift work for offices, maximizing telework when possible. So anybody can reach out to the Census Bureau if you're interested in applying for those jobs that are still, that there are still jobs to be filled when it comes to the Athens County field operations. So I wanted to get that out there. And the other thing I want to push out is make sure that you are enumerated. It is paramount that we make sure we get as good a count as we possibly can. There are some challenges with the Ohio University closing when it did, which closed prior to April 1. And with that, it created challenges with the student body, especially those living off campus. Enumeration on campus is done within the university system for group quarters. So that has largely been done. Where we really see some significant challenges is for those individuals who lived off campus. So it's still trying to work out and figure out the best path forward for making sure that we get as strong a count as possible within some of our high density student precincts in the city of Athens. Some other things to share is that this is a holiday weekend. This is Memorial Day weekend. And with that, the president has declared the flying of the US flag and the Ohio flags, all state flags, at half-mast immediately through sunset on May 24th. The Governor DeWine has extended that to where all public buildings and grounds throughout the state will have the flag remain lowered from sunrise until noon on May 25th. We will likely keep them lowered until sunset on the 25th. So if you see the flags lowered, it is in honor of Memorial Day weekend, which we are entering into. And another thing I want to share with everyone who's watching is that there is a one-day delay with that holiday when it comes to trash and recycling pickup. If your day is typically Monday to which you're putting out your trash, please move it to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday, and then the remainder will all be picked up on Friday when HRC is going around collecting trash and refuse. We've got kind of an interesting update for everyone who's watching, and that is the progress on the Richland Avenue pedestrian passageway, where that construction is still taking place. The assistant engineer, Jessica Dine, I've asked her to put together a slide deck for us to kind of look at the progress that has been made from the early stages of this project when it was released back in March up to the present. So there you're looking at the rendering of what the pedestrian passageway will look like. And we're gonna kind of slowly run through these. I appreciate Scott and Ryan for everything they do with the government channel, and Scott is at the helm. So what you're looking at now is an aerial view of the location of the pedestrian passageway, just north of that arrow. If you'd go back a slide, Scott, real quick. Thank you. You're looking at Grover Center, Porter Hall, and then kind of top center is Baker Center. And who can't recognize the Convocation Center, but you're looking at Convocation Center and the West Green, with Stalker being in your lower left-hand corner. So there's the location. I'd be remiss to not to mention our Maya Lin installation over on the right-hand side of this slide. Scott, if you want to go to the next one. So this was something that people saw early on, which was the barriers and the closures that took place. There you're looking at Bobcat Lane, which is still open to right out only during this construction as part of the detour plan. Next slide. Again, this existing sidewalk between Porter Hall and Grover Center. Again, this is March 2nd. Next slide. Again, the sidewalk closures as they went up. One of the things, and I've mentioned this before, that has really aided in this project moving along as well as it has in staying on schedule has been the fact that the construction site has not had to be kind of hyper aware of pedestrians crossing back and forth over the sidewalks, even though we did put up the sidewalk barrier. There's the temporary sidewalk that went up. That sidewalk, I believe, is over facing West Green. So that was that is still in place. Next one, there you see the removal of the roadway. When they got in and got on site, they started removing the roadway, the asphalt and concrete, and looking to see what the fill is that they had to pull out. So the next slide. That former one was March 16th. Here we're looking at April 6th. With April 6th, you're looking at the removal of most of the soils and getting down to a utility tunnel that runs right up the center of Richland Avenue in this particular project area. And when they got in, they realized that there was some unanticipated work that had to be done on that utility tunnel. They got that successfully done and then started putting in some of the fill. They had to put some engineered fill in this area. This lightweight fill was installed beginning April 20th. Here you're looking south on Richland Avenue. Richland Avenue light fill installed. They started putting the footers with the reinforcement of the underway under this particular project. This is April 27th, as you can see. Again, April 22nd, the sidewalk grading near Grover Center and Porter Hall and into the courtyard area between the two. Then May 4th, the future passageway entrances started working on putting the rebar, the reinforcement in there, and some of the fencing. And if you go to the next slide, Scott, you can see now there's what the Grover Center, Porter Hall courtyard, the walkway as you come through, substantial size, pretty broad walkway as you are heading towards Baker Center, in between Porter Hall and Grover Center. Here they're putting up the forms for the retaining walls. They've got, this is, here you're looking at the east side. This was May 11th. And on to the next slide, there you see both sides of the retaining walls. So if you think back on the opening slide where you saw the rendering, that rendering is what the facades of these retaining walls will look like in the near future. They poured those walls, and I think April 15th, that was our last slide. So again, thank you, Scott, for driving for me. And we will put these on the city website, and as new slides come up, the new photographs, and we'll make sure that those get posted on the city's website as well, so people can see how that progress is coming. The last thing I have for my press conference today, since it is Memorial Day weekend, and typically I would be reading this proclamation at the Memorial Day event at the West Union Street Cemetery, which will not be happening this year as it has in the past, where we have a large gathering of individuals to go down and pay homage to those who have served. So I'm going to read the proclamation for you now. Office of the Mayor. Proclamation. Whereas for more than 2 centuries, Americans have been called to defend the founding ideals of our democracy. On Memorial Day, a grateful nation remembers the proud patriots who have served in defense of liberty and justice. And whereas throughout our nation's history, members of the armed forces have taken great risks to keep America strong and free. They have defended the innocent, freed the oppressed, and helped spread the promise of liberty to all corners of the earth. And whereas our grateful nation honors the selfless service of our armed forces, and we acknowledge a debt to which that is beyond our power to repay. And whereas today, all who wear the uniform of the United States are serving at a critical hour in history, and each has answered a great call to service and serve our nation on the front lines of freedom. And whereas on this Memorial Day, we gather to remember those heroes who have served our country for the very freedom our flag represents. Now, therefore, I, Steve Patterson, the mayor of the city of Athens, Ohio, do hereby proclaim Monday, May 25th, 2020 as Memorial Day, and ask that all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom. There you have it. And thank you for tuning in for today's special, kind of moved it onto a different day for this week. Tuning in today for the weekly press conference. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. And please tune in again next week for the next installment of the Mayor's Weekly Press Conference. Take care.